I started this YouTube channel 1 year ago, and though I was really scared initially to get started here, and I had a lot of things that made me doubt whether I truly could do this, and things that almost made me feel like giving up along the way, I am truly proud of this year I've had so far and of what this channel's become. And I'm really excited to see where it continues to go in the years to come. Hello and welcome. My name is Jaden, or Arranging the Pieces, and this video is going to be a little bit different from the things I usually do because right about this time last year I really started this channel, and so I wanted to take a bit of time to reflect on how I got started with this channel and the writing that I've been sharing throughout my time on here, and go through this past year and see how I've grown over time and give you a little bit of behind the scenes sort of information that will kind of show some of my thought processes and the ways things changed and evolved over time as I've learned over these past 12 months and some of the key lessons that it has taught me. So, first off, I'd like to go back to the very beginning where it all started, years before I started this channel, when I first got into writing poetry, which is, of course, if you're familiar around here, the main thing I do and share here on this channel. So, back when I was in high school, I had kind of really gotten into a dark place with myself and had a lot of difficult things going on in my life and really struggled a lot with my mental health and all sorts of stuff like that. And by my junior year, I was in a really fragile place with all that and really not doing very well at all. And then at the end of that school year in 2020, several bigger things came together that really added to that. On top of my own personal struggles and everything, I was dealing with other family issues and my parents getting divorced, and I was having to think about my next steps after high school with college or jobs or whatever, and was in a place where it was impossible to be thinking about the future when I couldn't even make sense of my present or my past, and was completely overwhelmed by all that, and all these other personal things kept building on to. And then of course that was when COVID and everything happened, and that was just a whole new level of difficulty that was thrown into my life that I was already having so much difficulty coping and managing with and all this. And now I was having to deal with that. And it just got me into a really bad headspace. And by that summer, I was at my absolute lowest. Without going too much in depth, like getting too dark and everything, I was just, yeah, really in a dark place and really worried for myself, and other people were very worried about me. And on my darkest day, at a moment that was truly life or death, I luckily was pulled back by this sudden, unexpected, like, jolt of hope that pulled me out of that for a moment, just enough to pull up my phone and my Google Docs app and start writing something. And I wrote my first ever poem called Arrange. And that showed me that I can take these dark things within me that I'm struggling with, and instead of taking that feeling and energy and whatever to just swell up inside me and eat me alive, or to do hurtful things to myself or others and just let it ruin my life, I can take that and put it into this writing and use that as a tool to help me cope with these things and to find some hope under all that and work through this stuff in a way where I can see it in front of me on the page in these words, so I can deal with these things and work through them and get to a much better place with myself and in life and everything. So ever since then, I've been writing poetry, and I have now published two books, maybe someday, and I love them at last, which are both available to buy if you are at all interested in that. I have links down in the description, of course, if you want to check that out. And also on this channel, as we've been doing, I've been going through one by one each poem, starting with maybe someday, sharing it, and then kind of talking about it and the stories behind each one and everything. So if you're interested in that, that's another reason to subscribe and stick around here on that journey. And also, I sometimes just put videos of the poem itself. Sometimes, less frequently, I make like sort of visualizer type of videos of certain poems. But then also more frequently in my shorts, I have been sharing a lot of that poetry from those two books, and then newer stuff I work on that will one day be published too in my third book, and so on. So, yeah, feel free to check out any of that if you'd like to see more of my writing. But yeah, after writing all this and starting to publish, I just still wasn't doing much of anything with my writing. I wasn't really putting it out there and promoting it or sharing it with anyone. And I have always written for myself. The things I write just to help me. But as a lot of my favorite musical artists and everything have done for me, their writing and their lyrics and everything has really helped me. Like a lot, I listen to a lot of artists that have very open and vulnerable lyrics that are them doing what I'm doing with my own writing. And I see how them just writing for themselves and expressing the things that they're dealing with has helped them and has also helped me. So I wanted to be able to potentially do that for other people. And I just didn't quite know how because I am a very introverted type of person. I'm not one to just go out there and share things with people and talk about what I'm working on and just put myself out there like that. That's not how I just naturally am. But I've also really enjoyed YouTube for a long time and have for many years wanted to create my own YouTube channel and do something with it. I didn't know exactly what for a while, and even if I had something, I never would have actually considered doing it because even just being in front of a camera and talking to that makes me really anxious and uncomfortable, and back then would have genuinely like been too much for me to handle at all. But eventually, despite all this fear and insecurity and doubts and all that was going into it, at the end of 2024, I finally decided I'm done being held back by all these fears and everything. And I had always worried about how I don't have the skills and equipment and everything that I would need to be able to make a YouTube channel. And it's not something I'm experienced in, so I wouldn't be able to manage and handle all this stuff in a proper way to make anything of quality at all. And just felt like there was no way I could pull it off. But again, I finally decided that I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm going to get started because this is something I want to do, and I'm never going to overcome these struggles and learn to get good at recording and editing, and I'm never going to be able to get to a place where I could afford to get better equipment and do higher quality stuff and all that if I don't ever get started and start at that low point and work my way up. So then in late 2024, I started preparing to get this YouTube channel going, and I set myself the deadline of starting at the very beginning of 2025. So for the final few weeks of 2024, I started learning how YouTube works and started getting my channel put together and learning how to do the very basics I would need just to start making any sort of video. Then on January 7th, 2025, I published my very first video. And it's a video that's called The Book That Saved My Life, which of course is referencing this very first book I wrote, Maybe Someday, that I talked about a little earlier. And so if you're interested, you can go back and check out that video. Of course, looking back now, I know it's not a very high quality video, and I was terrified the whole time I was doing it, extremely uncomfortable. So it may not be the best watch, but at least kind of going back, you can see the growth. And though, of course, I still may not have the highest quality and may not be super great at this, I do think over this past year I've gotten a lot better from where I was a year ago now. And in that video, I just talk about some of the story behind how that book came to be and then read the preface of the book and it's really sort of the intro to this series I've been doing through the book, where I've been going through each poem one by one and sharing them here. So if you'd like to check out that and see the journey from then all the way until we get to the end of it eventually, I have several of those videos out already that I've posted throughout the past year, and I have a playlist on my channel called Maybe Someday that has them all there in order if you'd like to check that out. So, one aspect of my videos that I think has been really fun and also a bit of a challenge to figure out was creating thumbnails. And that very first video I'm talking about, I really tried to make something good. And honestly, embarrassingly, when I had finished it, I thought it was amazing, and I was really proud of what I made, and I'll put that up here so you can see it. But now looking back, I am yeah, embarrassed and disgusted by that thumbnail I made back then. I can kind of see the way it progressed over time and how I got better with creating those and putting them together in a way that's a bit more appealing and hopefully a bit more effective in attracting viewers and conveying what I want to with it. As I look back on all my videos and see all the thumbnails for them, I can really see the progression of them. And I'll put some of the bump in order so you can see how it kind of progressed over time and some of the ways that they improved as I went on. Another area where I've started off at a really basic low counterpoint with just to create something and has developed a little bit over time, but honestly hasn't changed a whole ton, is my recording setup that I use for these main videos where I'm just here in my house, just recording here like I do in that series and some of my other random videos that I do between and throughout and everything. But yeah, I'll show you the sort of setup I have right now. And I mean, right now, this video, just like that very first one, is recorded just on my phone. And you may be surprised at how it's set up right now. It's just wedged into my window curtains, just between two of the curtains, just right between they're being held up. And that's how I've been recording these videos for the past year and will continue for I don't know how long, but at least for the time being. But where I think I've improved is just getting a little bit better lighting and getting a better microphone to record the audio, and then also getting a little bit better at making some slight tweaks and edits to the video and audio quality to slightly improve them a bit so you don't quite notice as much maybe that I'm just recording this on my phone and that I don't really have a super high budget setup. But it's worked for me so far, and I think that's kind of one of the important things I've learned from doing this is that if you have something you want to achieve, something you want to do, even though it may feel like it's out of reach and is not something you're quite qualified enough for or can't afford right now or don't have the skills or whatever the case, it just seems like something you currently can't handle, but it's something you're truly passionate about and want to do. I think the most important thing is having that desire to do it. I think if you just get started on it with what you have and the skills you're able to apply and just that idea, that passion, that is what will drive you through it. And you'll never achieve anything if you never try to. But if you just start, even if it's not anything super impressive at the beginning and it's not able to like compete with others who are doing things at a much higher level than you initially, then eventually, if you just keep going at it and work in a way that you're always trying to grow and improve and always putting in that passion and authenticity and everything into it, then I think you can eventually get to that place you want to be and can grow and improve whatever you're doing over time. So that's what I've been doing. I started off just with an idea and a desire to do this and made do with what I could at the time. Over this past year, I've tried to improve things as I can and just slowly and steadily increase my skills and my equipment and the overall quality of these things I'm trying to put out. And I feel like I have grown so much as a person throughout this time. Just 1 year ago, sitting down in front of this camera and recording was the most terrifying thing in that first video, I could only do a few minutes at a time of recording because then I'd be so overwhelmed I had to go outside and take a walk to just catch my breath and calm my anxiety so I could come back and try a few more minutes. And I think I've gotten a bit better at just speaking to the camera and saying what I want to say. And I still, of course, think it's not my greatest skill and something I still need much more time to work on and get to a place where I'm truly like good at it. But I feel a lot more comfortable now than I did back then and feel like I'm able to present myself and my thoughts more clearly than I was able to at the time. And I'm really proud of myself for daring to do this and to try growing and changing these things that I've struggled with all my life. So now I'd like to go through some of my videos over this past year and share some of the key moments with those and just kind of walk through some of the things that I accomplished and created and did throughout this past year on this channel. So, of course, as I said earlier, I made that first video, The Book That Saved My Life, to start this series I wanted to do, which was going through that first book and all that. And that was originally the only thing I was going to be doing with this channel. It was just going to be those videos, that series. And that is all I did for the first couple of months from January to March. But then in March, with the release of that second book, I Love Him at Last, I made a separate little video to talk about that and announce its release and talk a little bit about the story behind that and what that book and the poetry within it means to me and the stories and ideas it's really trying to tell. And then just shortly after making that video, I discovered YouTube Shorts, and I initially just started using that to share smaller clips of my longer form videos to kind of help promote those and take key highlight type of moments from those videos and put them into a short form video to hopefully attract some attention and get more viewers into those. And I think it did help a little bit occasionally, and those videos did, of course, get more views than my longer form videos. That was also another new thing that I had to learn and work on, just how to make these short videos and how they really worked on YouTube. But of course, as with all the other things, over time I learned and grew with that and discovered ways to use them more effectively to help promote my writing and my videos and my books and all that. And later on, I had some shorts that had some really great success. So then in May, I made a video called Dear Clancy that was the first thing that really strayed from my normal content I had been posting so far. If you've been around here a while and seen a lot of my videos, you likely know that I am a massive fan of 21 Pilots. If you couldn't tell by the trench vinyl there and Breach and the poster and this light of their logo and more CDs and vinyl and everything. I have been following their music and their story for well over a decade, and they have been truly one of my greatest inspirations with my own writing and have helped so much in shaping who I am now and helping me grow and push on through these struggles I have. So then, as they got ready to end this narrative they'd been telling with their albums over the past 10 years, I wanted to write something to sort of commemorate how their journey has really been my journey in a lot of ways. So for the 10-year anniversary of that album that started this story of theirs, Blurry Face, I made this video of a poem I wrote that is addressed to the main character of that story named Clancy, and made sort of like a mini visualizer music video type of thing for that poem. And again, it was no budget on that and just no skills for that yet, and just trying to make something with what I had. But again, I'm really proud of myself for creating what I did and putting it out there. And that video got by far the most views that I had had up until that point, and I got a lot of good response from other fans, and that became the start of me for a little while trying to feed into the attention I got from that video and do a few more other things surrounding the band and their story and all of that. So a couple weeks later, I then made a short of me making a prediction about their upcoming next album that would be the final one in the story and concluding it all. And that video just, at least by a small YouTuber who usually just gets a couple dozen views, like this video blew up and got well over 30,000 views and over 50 comments and well over 1,000 likes. So then I did a few more shorts making predictions and trying to sort of repeat the success of that one. And of course, those ended up not doing quite as well. And I realized I was trying to force something that I really shouldn't be, and this was starting to kind of distract me from the main focus of this channel and what I was trying to accomplish with my writing and everything. So I stopped doing that and got back fully focused on going through my book and sharing my writing and all these stories and everything. So throughout that time, those first 6 months, I had a very slow and steady type of growth, just gaining a few subscribers randomly here and there and slowly getting a little bit higher views, but I mean, that definitely fluctuated quite a bit, went up and down over time, but at least would get a little bit more consistency with it all and just, yeah, that slow, gradual growth. And then by July, on the 23rd, I finally hit 100 subscribers, which was crazy to imagine that me just creating these low quality videos about these poems I just wrote for myself years ago and all this. It was crazy to me that 100 random people out there would have found it and found something of value within it to want to support what I'm doing and stick around to see more of it and all that. But even though, like, of course, the focus isn't the numbers and all that, it's still just really meaningful to know that there are some people out there who are interested in what I'm doing and want to support this. It was also around that time that I started making some other long form videos between the maybe someday series videos and doing that more frequently. And that started with a video called Why Writing Means Everything to Me, where I talk about that story of how I got started with writing and how it really began to transform my life for the better. And then I started making just like visualizer videos for some of my poems, starting with Seafloor and then with Kilua. And I wanted to do more of those, but those take a little bit more effort, and I was busy with other things later in the year, so didn't get to do as many of those. But I'll have many more of those coming here soon this year, and hopefully can do those more frequently. They're a lot of fun to put together and kind of help push me in new ways that the main videos I had been doing hadn't been, and it's just kind of another way to share my writing in a different way and learn new skills. And yeah, I've just really been enjoying that and look forward to making more of those. Then also, again, kind of straying from my normal stuff, and honestly, I don't know if I'm a total idiot for posting these. I don't know. I think I got maybe a little bit too comfortable here and a little bit too willing to embarrass and expose myself and everything. But I made these two parody songs of 21 Pilots songs that I love, where I wrote sort of goofy, but also trying to be playfully, deeply meaningful about a really stupid topic. I mean, I had a lot of fun writing those and coming up with the ideas for the videos I made for them and putting them together and everything. But again, if we're talking about me not having certain skills, probably like my worst skill of all is singing. So I don't know why I thought it would be a good idea to just publicly post videos of me singing like this. But here we are, I did it. I made my snack break song that's a parody of Snapback by 21 Pilots and is about that super relatable moment when you're about to bake some cookies and then the power goes out and then you can't make your cookies. and you go delusional. And then I have my Duolingo parody of Oldie Station, which is about how I've been doing Duolingo since early 2020 and have kept my streak all the way throughout there and have put so much effort into it and tried to achieve all the greatest things I can in there and put way too much into it and got to a place this year where I was just like burned out and realizing like what am I doing this all for? Like over time the Duolingo app has just gotten worse and worse and I'm enjoying it less and less and learning really not a lot of anything from it. So I wrote a parody song about that and I think it turned out hilarious and was a lot of fun to make, but again, a total embarrassment, but you're welcome to go check those out if you'd like to see me make a fool of myself. And who knows, maybe I'll make some more in the future, but we'll see. Another thing I did near the end of the year was I did my first interview with a local musician who independently released an album that I have right back there on the shelf, that CD of his album songbook. And his name is Carlos Velez, and I got to go through talking with him about his creative process and how he taught himself to play and perform music and sing and all this. And kind of did what I did in a lot of ways, where he started off just at a sort of basic, low skill kind of level and just went with it. And over time has just learned and gotten better and figured things out for himself and has been able to improve his skills and his equipment and all this stuff as he's gone and now has a truly amazing album that he's released. And so I did a couple interview sessions with him talking through those. So of course you can check that out and check out his music. It was a lot of fun and really rewarding to talk with him on all that. And his music is genuinely really good. So I hope you check that out and support him as well. Also, I forgot to mention it in the initial recording somehow, but near the end of the year, I shared my first ever short story called Sea Heart in the form of an audiobook of sorts, along with a painting I did based on it as the visual with captions to read along as well. I've wanted to get into fiction writing for a long time, so it was really fun and rewarding to finally write and complete something I could share in this way. And again, it was another challenge that I think really helped me grow, and I hope to do more writing like that in the future on this channel. Also, just in those last few months of the year was when I started wanting to do something different and new with my short videos and had the idea to just record me reading out my poems and just have them as standalone short videos instead of just the longer form ones that I talk all about the poem before and after, and then also not have to be the higher level effort that the sort of visualizer type of videos are. It would just be a bit more of a simpler and quicker to make and edit type of video that I could put out a lot more of them more quickly between my long form videos to kind of help get my stuff out there a bit more. And I think those have been the most successful apart from that 121 Pilots video and have pretty consistently brought in around 1,000 or so views each time. Some of them quite a bit more than that, and some of them haven't performed so well, unfortunately, but still getting a few hundred at least. And that's been a lot of fun to make and to be able to just share my writing as I create it. So now here we are at the start of 2026, and I've now officially been doing this for a year. At this point, as I record this, I am now at 144 subscribers and I have published 134 videos, which I'm now realizing means I've averaged just over one new subscriber per video, which I mean, it's honestly more than I expected. So that's a pretty cool surprise. And so, yeah, this video has been a bit of a longer one, of course, and has been a bit different from what I normally do, but I wanted to make this just sort of as a milestone in my channel to maybe someday look back on and look at this video and see how I progressed throughout that year. And so you can see where I've been and how I've grown. And again, I'm just really proud of myself for deciding to do this and continuing it throughout the year and really growing as much as I have as a person and with these skills and everything. And I'm really thankful to you for watching and anyone who has supported this channel in any way, watching any of my videos, making any comments, liking, subscribing, any of that. Just it truly means everything that anyone would care at all about any of this. And I really look forward to continuing this channel and this journey and continuing to write and share my story and my poems and all these things I do. I'm really excited to see where now, a year from this point, after doing this 2 years, where I'll be and how I will have changed and the channel will have changed, and be able to then reflect on this year, 2026, and see where we end up. But yeah, anyway, thank you again so much for watching. And remember, please, let your heart be open, even if no one receives it. Say what you mean, even if no one believes it. Live your life like you don't need a reason, because we're all broken and we're just arranging the pieces. Thank you.